everybody. Welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, this is one of the fittest couples on earth. They are currently prepping for this week's, because we're recording it a week before, Chicago Pro in Atlanta, Georgia. Please welcome from Texas, John and Renee Jewett. How are you guys?
Ooh, all right.
Yeah. So far, I get it.
Ron, appreciate it.
Get all that right. Okay. So before we get into the bodybuilding and wellness and all that stuff, you know, I'm a hopeless romantic and I like human interest stories. I need to know, how did you guys meet and where were you both at in your fitness careers, fitness journeys, competitive, all that at that point when you first met?
Well, I had just turned pro at the 2016 USAs.
Yeah.
And I just went through a divorce at the time. We're getting real personal real quick.
Right?
Yeah.
Jump right in.
People do get divorced, guys. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. And so Renee, we lived in the same town, San Antonio, Texas. I had been following Renee because at the time we were sponsored by the same company. It was Redcon One.
Oh, okay.
And so we had kind of this like mutual, we never met in person. One day I decided to go out of my way to this other Gold's gym. I was frustrated. I'm going to go train. I'm just going to go train biceps. That's what I was going to do that day. I was supposed to be an off day, but I was like, I'm going to go train. Wasn't ready to meet or talk to anyone. I forgot my deodorant. Went to Gold's gym, was training, and I noticed, I was like, that's Renee. I've like only seen her on Instagram. And then you so happened to come to put your dumbbells back up.
Yeah, I had to go past him to put my dumbbells back, and I couldn't say nothing.
You know, you planned it.
Okay. I like where this is going. Keep going.
So I initiated the conversation, and it was just a friendly hello. We follow each other.
It was more than just like a minute. Like we like interrupted our sets and we're talking about dogs, and I was like, we talked for like, I don't know, a good spurt between our sets, and I'm thinking like, man, this girl's super hot.
Yeah.
Like, and I talked to her. I'm like, I gotta do something. I was like, come on, John, just go for it. So I like go back up to her. I'm like, hey, you want to go get some IHOP when you're done working out? Because this was in the morning. I'm going to lock this date in now. Like, I don't care if it's a day.
Yeah.
We're going. And it was right after Thanksgiving. She was like, I ate really bad for Thanksgiving. Like, I don't think I should. I'm like, oh no, I'm not taking no. I was like, it's okay. They have egg whites and whatever. She was like, okay.
Yeah, he was already planning out my meal, what I was gonna have at IHOP.
Wow. Okay. Well,
You can get egg whites and like they have veggie. Like I was like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's smooth. So is that what happened? You guys went to IHOP right after that workout?
We went right to IHOP after that workout.
God, dude, you're awesome.
Then I went for a night date eventually. So day date are supposed to be like friend zones immediately, but I disagree, and I have proof. So
yeah, I mean, anyone who follows all those bullshit dating advice videos and all that, they'll say, "Oh, don't do the day date, don't do that." Then they can escape, they can go home. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, so how quickly, Renee? You know, I'm fascinated by this shit. Did you know the minute you saw him or the minute you started talking to him, I like this guy. I want to really get to know this guy on a deeper level?
No, honestly, I had gone through like a string of just terrible dates and relationships, and honestly, at the point that we met, I was just kind of in the I never want to date or be with anybody ever, and I want to be alone for the rest of my life.
Me and my cats. Okay.
Yeah, I was a total like cat lady when we met.
yeah,
Like he'll tell you, I was a cat lady.
I saved her.
He saved me from
cat life.
So at that point, John's already pro. You had just won light heavies at the USA?
Yeah, heavies.
Heavies. I'm sorry, heavies. Don't get mad. But a lot of 212s were light heavies too.
I'm a 212 little guy, so it doesn't matter.
Renee, were you competing yet? And if so, what division were you at back then?
No, I wasn't actually. I had no plans on competing. I had tried to compete like years before that, like 5-6 years before we met. And I did poorly, so poorly. I didn't know enough. I should probably never should have stepped on stage, but I had no plans on ever competing again. I just like to work out.
Yeah. When you got back to competing, was it figure? Was that the division?
No, it was, I had no plans on competing until he actually brought up wellness to me. He was like, hey, you should try this.
We saw it in IFBB International, like down in Brazil, and like, man, this is the perfect division for you. Too bad they don't have it here. She had this little waist and these flowing hips and glutes, and she's like, that's the look I want. So she's been training for that look since I've met her. Like, that's just the way she liked. Lots of lower body glute work, lots of girls like to train with. But when they finally came, it's like, this is it. Like, you already prep, like you're on prep. Like, she would just off season everything with me, and so she was fired up to do it.
Okay. So you didn't, Renee, you didn't compete again till last year, 2020?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
It was a lot of back-to-back shows. I did my regional, then went straight into nationals. And
yeah, that was a rough year last year for everybody. We're a lot of shows you were getting ready for, postponed, canceled,
postponed, moved. It was crazy.
She started prep pretty much January 1st, and we had planned some shows, shows in the summer. Kept getting pushed back. Finally, she was done competing by September.
Yeah.
And so it's a short off-season period now, September, and we started prep again in February.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because North American that you turned pro in wellness last year, you said. So was that, they had that show outdoors, right?
It was in a parking lot, like with a big tent set up and no audience. So he was back at the hotel watching me on the live stream.
Wow.
Yeah, drop her off. Like, all right, we'll see you when we get back.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, bless them for what they were able to do, you know. But I drove back over I was in tears. I was so excited, you know, and ran up to the tent to wait for her to come out.
Yeah.
So that was a fun moment.
Both of you, how would you describe wellness? Because I get different answers from a lot of different people. How do you describe the division, John Renee?
Take it. It's your division.
Yeah.
I can only, you know, what I have stuck in my head is when I forget who said it. Said big bikini.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
easy.
that was not Tim Gardner, Gary Udit.
Gary, big bikini. Yeah,
Big bikini.
that makes sense. Yeah, it's like a jacked. I'm still trying to figure out if is it between figure and women's physique. Is it? To me, they don't look. I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk like you're not in the room. They don't look that different to me because figure girls have gotten pretty jacked, as you know. It's just a little more jacked to me, especially in the lower body. Definitely bigger glutes, quads, hams, calves, proportionally to the upper body.
Yes, I see it as like, because with figure, it seems like they have the small hip structure,
Yeah,
and then this wide X frame. So I see it as like a lower body being a big bikini, like big developed glutes, but upper body is maybe closer between a bikini to figure. Maybe some figure, it's almost at the pro level, it's almost like a figure girl isn't flexing, just kind of relaxed. That might be how she would look. But definitely like more developed. They're girls with hips, but in more developed glutes than you see with figures. So it is its own thing. I know we're trying to be like mix and match, like grab this from bikini and this from women's physique, but I think we'll see it really develop into its own thing. And what's cool is we have these pros from down south that have been doing it for years. So it's not like we're trying to figure out, I think, what it is. It's like we have the girls, and the Manions have been bringing these girls over to establish this look. So I don't think it's quite the new division like we've seen like with men's physique when it first came out, or these other divisions that kind of develop into something. The development's already there. So
yeah, and like I said, it's already been around. I think they had something like that in Europe for a while already too. But I know for sure Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. I know it's been big in South America for a long time. And somebody had to correct me. I think on Renee, on your Instagram a couple of weeks ago, I said maybe you could be the first American to win a wellness show, and someone said Casey DeLong just won in Puerto Rico, was it right? I said, all right, sorry. But the point I was making was that they're ahead of us because that division's already been around for years.
Yeah.
I assume it's going to take us a little while to catch up and get up to speed with all that, to get a stock of really good American athletes. It's all one division. It's all the IFBB. It doesn't matter. It's not like country versus country. But anyway, All right, I'm off on a tangent as usual. So let's get back to the love story. So when did you guys get married?
2018.
Okay.
What's our anniversary date?
Yeah, she remembers as much as I do.
You better know the date, dude.
Yeah.
You don't know the day, John?
No.
Oh,
We
okay.
met in at the end of 2016, and we got married in 2018.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we were there for 2 years before we got married.
Okay, gotcha. And let's get to you, John, on the competitive stuff now. I want to remind everybody, John was the 2019 Tampa Pro 212 champion. For some reason, I thought you won Chicago, but you were third in Chicago that year. That was a great show. Who was that? Who won in Chicago? I can't even remember.
Dollar.
Who was it?
Dollar.
Lloyd Dollar, and then it was Bola.
Dollar.
Bola. That's
Yeah.
right. And then you went to the Olympia, fourth place at your first Olympia. Was your first one, right?
It was my first, yeah.
Yeah. And geez, you beat Ahmad Ashkenani, who'd been runner-up, Samuel Haddad, Eduardo Correa, who's been runner-up, Hide. Geez, so that was a heck of a year for you. And then 2020, did you compete at all last year, John?
I just only did the Olympia, and
That's right.
got 13th. It was just a piss poor display. I promise I'll never walk on stage like that again.
Right on. I mean, you looked a little, to me, you just were a little flat. It's not like you were a disgrace or anything.
No, I wasn't. I still have body fat. I was flat. I was fat and flat.
Okay, fair enough. You're honest. So this year I've seen you twice at Indy Pro, and Indy Pro was a weird show because going into the show, I had you as the favorite. And even when everyone came out, I still had you as the favorite. And I took a lot of shit for that from the Nathan fans and from the Tony Burton fans. When we're at that level, the top three, sometimes you can flip flop them. You're all great. You have different looks. But I was surprised that I was really shocked that 3 out of the top 5 in your class, I believe, were making their pro debut, which is very rare.
Yeah, Nathan and Tony, and then Brian Belzano.
Yeah. And everybody looked great.
Yeah.
Condition wise, I thought the winner, Tonio, could have been sharper, but he did have a blend of different things they were looking for. But again, how did you like your look at that show? What do you think was really good? What could have been better?
Well, for one, my big thing was bring condition, because I wanted to kind of redeem myself for Olympia. Most condition I've been, shredded out. I think that arguably, I can maybe say that was the top in the show conditioning wise.
Yeah.
I think I could have been a little fuller. I think I sacrificed some body weight coming down to bring the conditioning.
Yeah.
And that was the part. I lose it kind of in my chest and pecs and in my traps when I get flat.
Yeah.
And then I was hitting some of my poses just a little off, and not as big as what I could have been. And I carried that into New York some too. And I had some judges come up to me and talk to me a little bit too. And I sacrificed a little bit posing wise.
Yeah.
There.
What about, because New York, you did better, and that was a bigger show. Second place, the same. Nathan won. Did he win?
It was still Nathan. I was like, this guy's following me around.
He really was.
It was basically the Indy lineup,
Yeah.
for the most part, because
we only had maybe 3 or 4 other people that weren't at Indy, I think.
Yeah, Noel Adami.
Yeah, he was in Indy.
Yeah, he was in Indy. He got 4th, and then he got 3rd.
Yeah.
In New York. I kind of hit my lat spread still kind of goofy, and I think I still could have been fuller. So I was just concerned. I coached myself, so I was like concerned, like you don't want to get soft. And by the end of the day, like when my body weight's up really high, I think I'm still more conditioned than everyone else that was on stage. So I should have just gone in really full and sacrifice a little bit of conditioning, which wouldn't have been much,
Right. I mean, people were freaking out over the posts you were making on Instagram, especially leading up to both of the shows, because the condition is nuts. It's just crazy striations, detail, graininess, and a lot of us, especially those of us who are a little older and were around in the 90s, we really appreciate that look, because you don't see it that often anymore. You don't. I see guys winning shows sometimes now, and to me they still look like they're 2 or 3 weeks out from where they could be. I'm curious, John, do you have a real tough time getting down to 212? Are you one of those guys?
No, I don't. I've been on the kind of the cusp before, but for Indy, my body weight low was 203.6 in the morning.
Okay.
And I was probably walking on stage about 206, 205.
Okay. Yeah.
For New York, I brought my stage weight up a little bit, like a pound. I walked on maybe like 207.
Okay.
So to make weight, it's easy. So I have some room that I now can play, but I also have never been this conditioned. So I've been it to where I've had to like barely make 212 for a weigh-in, but also I've never has been as hard as I've been now. So now that I realize, oh, you got some stage weight to come up, but now I'm around 207 in the morning.
Yeah.
And if you see my pics, I'm just as hard,
Right.
which I think I can walk on stage about 210
Okay.
and be a lot fuller. And
Yeah.
so through these past few weeks since New York, that's been part of my plan. Is just feed up and stay as hard, but also bring the fullness that I can that I lose in my upper body when I just deplete down too much. You know, it's like there's not a extra gain in conditioning. I just lose fullness up top.
Well, I'm very anxious to see that because that's at both of those shows. I'm a fan. I like your physique a lot. I just said, I wish he was fuller. I wish things were popping more.
Yeah,
You know, it's just frustrating. Like guys that never get the leg cuts. I'm like, oh, I wish you would get those cuts right there.
I'm gonna try. So fuller, coming fuller.
Yeah. So Renee, this is your pro debut.
It is.
Wow. So wellness is a fairly new division. You know, have you been watching? You've been trying to see, you know, what do they want me to come in like? Because how lean are you supposed to be for wellness? Is it supposed to be totally shredded glutes and all that? Or do they want a softer look? What do they give you as far as guidelines?
Well, I mean, going into my first show last year, that was Tampa, and that was my regional national qualifier show. My feedback was that I was a little bit too hard.
Okay.
Because I had some like glute striations. I was very lean. So going into nationals, we softened up a little bit. But we've been watching the girls that are stepping on these and winning these pro shows, and they are coming in really conditioned.
Yeah.
You know, so we've been keeping an eye on it. I think my conditioning right now is right where it needs to be, honestly.
It's definitely it's interesting because it all depends who you stand next to. So like in her regional show, you had all these girls showing up that are really soft. So it made her look hard. But if you put her on a pro stage, like, well, you'd fit in. And arguably, like at Matt, when she turned pro, she probably was a little softer than what would have been okay at the pro level. And so she's actually harder than what she's been even for Tampa. But I think bringing her in, I'd say like it's easier to soften someone up that's hard, like just bring them in fuller versus if you're not hard enough, well, we can cut water. I mean, what can you do at that point? So like our best position, like we'll get you the body fat down. We can always speed you up and just bring you really full. But at least from what I've seen, like even girls, you watch them when they're moving through poses, their glutes, you can see some glute fiber, you know, they're lean. Not all the way to figure, but it's
I hear, I watch when they're walking away. You can definitely see the glutes are striated. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I would know. So you guys, I'm curious. Are you John? Are you Renee's coach, or someone else handle all that?
I do.
Oh, good.
Myself and her. So
sometimes that because I've heard a lot of couples that prep for shows together, and even if the guy could coach or you know the wife or the girlfriend, that's like the last person they want to listen to is their significant other. So they pawn him off on some other coach. So that's good that you guys can do that because we actually just had Brett Wilkins on Global Muscle, and him and Yvonne are doing the show too. Okay. They talked about how it's best for them to do the same shows rather than you know one's in prep and the other isn't. It works out better for them if they're both dieting and they're both going through the same exact experience. So is this the first time you prep together?
Yeah, yes and no, because I was kind of prepping for Olympia last year when she was prepping for her first wellness shows.
Yeah.
But then Olympia got pushed back, and so I never kind of left this prep state. But I think with me, like having gone through the prep experience, I know how it feels. For her, that was kind of like her first real prep to go through those feelings. But it definitely helps us for sure to have the same mentality and mindset. There is some disconnection and, you know, you lose some of that intimacy as far as, you know, connectedness and you're more food focused and everything. So we're like together, like in that state, which is helpful. And then off season, the same thing goes. Like we can go enjoy date nights together. We're not limited by what the other person can do or can't. So I think it's helpful for us to be prepping together, and I think it's worked well for me coaching her too. at least for her, I'm never one to have to police her. And I think that's a mindset thing for her, that she is just high effort, type A driven hard. Like, if anything, it's me trying to save her and pull her back some. So I'm never have like, no, you can't do that, and you can't do that. Like, if you're having to do that, I think outside of, it's where it drives into issues. But I'll have her like email me just like she would a client. I can look at her pics.
Oh, wow.
I can give her a response back, and so that's coaching.
Yeah.
And then when I'm seeing her in person, I'm just the husband role, and her coach is what's sending her in the emails. But even then, like,
That's pretty weird.
I'm not having to like police her. I think that's when you run into issues, and it's hard to differentiate between when you're a husband role or when you're a coaching role. And hey, you're looking soft today, and we need to do this. Like, hey, what are you saying? I'm fat? Like, no, this is me as a coach. It's like there's no disconnect. I think for a lot of females between your husband and coaching role, it's just all the same, right? But no, it's worked great for us.
Yeah. I mean, you're both smiling. We're doing this interview we're not posting this until the week of the show. So guys, we're about a week and about 9 days out for both of you at this point. 8 days. 8 days. You got smiles on your faces. You sound intelligent. Yeah. I mean,
Sharp and witty.
some guys will try to murder me through the screen at this point. They're just so angry and hungry. But you guys are doing great.
We've mastered the fatigue management aspect. Like, our preps are they're pretty easy. Really good at like knowing when to push, knowing when to pull. We're both like stage lean ready. So we do like a linear load approach with carbs to kind of feed into the show, taper down cardio. So we're getting to the point where we feel even better, so we're not having to dig deep right now to chase body fat off. We're ready.
Yeah.
Moving to this weekend, we're ready to go.
You post pictures all the time, and I never see you anywhere near out of shape. Do you stay within a certain weight or a certain body fat range all year?
It's been a long time to have a deep off season. Because 2020 I was prepping most of the year. 2019, like, I haven't had a long off season bout, but no, I won't get too high in body weight. I sit very comfortable around 240.
Okay.
That's where I like to hang out, and I can have that diet flexibility. 235 is pretty good. So I'll coast around there. So I never let my body weight get too high. I think an advantage from this past Olympia is I didn't have a long time. I think it was, what was it, Renee? Like maybe 18 weeks, 20 weeks after the Olympia to Indy.
That's right. Yeah.
So I had an 8-week break where I brought body weight up to, I was like 223.
Yep.
So I didn't come up as high, and then I came back down. I think that was why I was able to get probably as lean as I have been. So I haven't been in a long off seasons for me. But I think if you're 212, why do you even need that long of an off season?
I mean, the only thing I can think of for some people is they have a body part that really needs to come up, or maybe they need a lot more size, something like that. But at the pro level, I wouldn't say the pros shouldn't have a lot of improvements still to make, but they should be pretty close to where they need to be. I mean, that's how it used to be.
More often, right?
Yeah. So you guys were going to do the Puerto Rico Pro in the Bahamas a couple weeks ago, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Just the visa thing, all the weird complications of traveling and COVID test.
Like 2 weeks away, I realized my parents were going to go, and they didn't have passports. I'm like, what are y'all thinking? You got to have a passport. Yeah. So we pulled ours out, and we're like, mine was expired.
Oh, God.
And it had just expired in April.
And we looked through everything. There was like, we could drive to a different city and go through this meeting, but there was just no way. No way to make it happen. So we were like, you know what? Let's just push back. We're going to have her do Arizona. I was going to do Texas. Then stupid us for planning. Arizona was the last qualifier for Olympia. I'm like, well, I want to make sure you have more than one shot at it. So we're like, well, Chicago makes sense. And they're like, well, hell, I'm going to go to Chicago. I might as well compete there.
So what was your original plan, John, for this year for shows? You just want to do those 2 shows, hopefully win one of those and go to the Olympia? Was the original game plan?
Well, when I first started after the 2020 Olympia, we didn't know when the Olympia was going to be yet, right?
Right.
It was maybe going to be December. I was like, well, that makes sense. I can maybe qualify early. Then I'd have some break. Then I'd compete in December. So I start going through my process and doing Indy, and it's like, oh, Olympia's going to be in October. I'm like, oh, well, shit, that kind of messes the timeline up. But I'm going to do Indy anyway. I'm close to ready. Hopefully, just qualify, and then I'll do Olympia. Well, you don't qualify, so I'm like, well, a week later is New York. That's not a big deal. I'll do that. Still don't qualify. It's like, well, she was going to do Puerto Rico, which was going to be 5 weeks later.
I think 6 weeks.
6 weeks. I'm like, well, I'll do it, Then that happened to us. And so now it's this extended period of time of prep. This will be my last one. Like, I'm not going to do another one.
Oh, I mean, let's say you get, I'm just being a jerk, but let's say you get second or third or something.
Yeah.
You'd have a good amount of points there. I don't know if it would be enough.
I do.
You would have enough anyway at that point. That would do it? Or you already do?
I am the point leader right now.
Oh, then okay, it's all good then. Never mind.
I think I'd be good. I think I would be good for points, but I'm not going to keep going either way.
Yeah, because I'm thinking Texas Pro is. I know Texas is like the size of a country, but it's right there, and you're in. I know people get mad. People from Texas get mad when I say, "Well, you're in Texas." It's they say, "Dude, it's like a 12-hour drive from where I am." You don't get it. Because I'm in New England. I think New England could fit inside Texas, all the New England states, comfortably, with a little room to spare, probably.
I picked Texas to do. I would love to do the Texas just because it's in the home state. Yeah. Just the timeline wasn't as friendly. Because I'd rather jump into the earlier show than really have the timeline to play for Olympia versus extend out this into Texas and then have a shorter timeline to Olympia. So the idea is you have enough points. I have time to bring body weight up. Yeah. Bring fatigue down, have some great training, and then really push it hard into Olympia. So that's at least the game plan. So hopefully I have enough points. If I don't, I'm calling it for the year. I'm happy to go off season, and I have that little bit of stage weight I can play with, and I will come back in 2022 and be the biggest John 212 that I can be.
So, I want to see that anyway, honestly.
Yeah, right on.
I like I said, I like your physique a lot. I would love to see a little fuller. Just like I can see what people can look like. Like I just talked to Blessing the other day. Blessing Iwobi. That guy can be very good. He needs some things, but I can see what he can look like eventually. And you're much closer to where you need to be eventually, but still I could see, man, imagine John with this and that. So Renee, back to you. This is
I want to hear what you think. Like for fullness, like what body parts do you see in me? They're like, yeah, I wish John had more.
Just in the upper body. Your legs are fine, and your upper body is good. It could just if it had a little more fullness, because you're going up against sometimes in this show like Keon, very very full muscle bellies.
Yeah,
people get wowed by that. I've been around forever, and I still go, oh my god, when I see that on a person. It's just when you have that blend. I've yet to see him really conditioned. I know the condition is your thing and you have the great shape and all that. If you brought a little more fullness with everything you have now, good Lord, it would be tough. It would be very, very tough to beat. Very tough to beat. That's all.
It's been, my thing is I keep improving every show.
Yeah.
And if I'm seeing a decline, I won't keep going, but I'm managing everything really well to where I can keep improving. I think I can, if I have the timeline to Olympia after the Chicago, I think I come really, really full to Olympia. I think I can even add size to going to Olympia, not talking drastic, but I mean, within 212, it's a tight range anyway, but it's enough to keep improving. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not like you need another 20 pounds of muscle or anything. I think another, people get all caught up in these ridiculous high numbers because they've been brainwashed by muscle tech ads in the past. But, 3, 4, 5 pounds, even 3 pounds of brand new lean muscle tissue on someone at your level, it's a big, big difference. You can see it right away. Yeah, I would. If you walked out with 3 more pounds of muscle, I would say he got bigger. I would know it right away. So yeah, I hope you get that off season, because how long's it been since you had like a 6-8 month off season?
That was 2018.
Wow. Okay, it's been a minute. Yeah. Okay. So Renee, this is your pro debut. Obviously, you want to win this and then go straight to Olympia. But if I don't know if that Angela Borges or something, I don't know. Are there any other shows that you might possibly want to do, or would this be it for you too?
Well, this year it's the top 2 that get qualified for Olympia.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Just
Good.
for this year, since there's not too many wellness pros yet, so they're
Right.
trying to get enough girls going to the Olympia. So if I don't make that first or second, then the plan is to go to Tampa.
Okay.
But after Tampa, if I still don't make it, then I'm just gonna call it and go into off season.
Okay. I don't want to jinx anything, but I think you're going to get top 2 in one of those shows for sure. Just that's my prediction, my little crystal ball. John, John, another thing, because I follow your Instagram and I see you, I haven't looked into your YouTube and stuff, but you have something called J3 University, because your Instagram is John Jewett 3. It's probably your favorite number or something. But what is J3 University?
Yeah, well, the 3 is because I'm John Jewett the third.
Oh, really? Oh, why don't
Yeah.
you do the Roman numeral thing?
I could have. I guess it just Instagram, it looked easier at the time.
Okay.
That was years ago when I made it, so the 3 just kind of carried on.
Okay.
But yeah, J3 University. So I've always been this kind of sciencey nerd of wanting to understand why and how to better myself as a bodybuilder. Make sure I'm putting time into things that are efficient, not wasting time on things that aren't. So I've just learned the process along the way, and I enjoy teaching people on the education side. And we started putting out education and like, this is why I'm doing this. And I kept saying these whys, and people want more of it. So I became, I'm going to put out a whole university coursework on how to bodybuild.
Wow.
And so this is it's not necessarily a 6-month course, but it could be extended as it's on your own pace. But it's basically take anyone through that wants to learn how to become a better bodybuilder or a better coach. So I take them through nutrition, recovery, assessing your physique off stage, what you should work on, how you should program your training around that. Then I put it all together back into running through a contest prep or running through off season, managing your health as a bodybuilder, and also performance enhancing drugs as well. So nothing's off limits there. I touch on everything. I go into the science, but it's not so in depth where you don't understand it. But I also have a lot of like practical application just from what I've done through my experience. There's the coursework you can go through, but then I also log Renee and I's like our actual case studies. So week to week, this is what our picks look like. This is the changes I'm making because of what I'm seeing. And I look through our diets, our training, and show everyone the full details so they can learn along the way. So they have the coursework to learn from, but also some real live case studies to see it applied to them.
Wow. And on your YouTube channel, do you have a lot of that stuff too? A lot of this type of information?
Yeah, so there's a lot on YouTube as well. We have our prep series on there. So it's kind of our raw, just enjoying training together. And of course, we're always explaining the whys behind what we're doing too. So you can get a little taste of that on there. And of course, on Instagram, I put a lot of my education stuff there too.
Yeah. So guys, I saw on the profile, on the Instagram profile, if you click on the thing that says Linktree, it'll take you right to any of those things he was just talking about: the coaching services, the newsletter, the university, the YouTube channel. It's all there. Because I commend you, John, because this sounds there's only one other guy I think that's doing anything similar to what you're doing as far as being able to educate from a point of view of the personal experience as a coach, as an athlete. That's John Meadows. And man, I have so much respect for John Meadows, such an educator, because a lot of people don't, even if they have that knowledge, they keep it to themselves. And that's a shame, because there's a lot of people that could benefit from the things that and you're doing it. You're helping to educate all these people out there, because man, it's crazy. Here we are in 2021. I'm still hearing people talk about concepts that were outdated and proven to be wrong 20 years ago, but they're still out there all over the place with regard to training, nutrition, PEDs, all that stuff. There's still so much misinformation.
It's frustrating to see as well, especially how many people I coach that get mistreated through just poor coaching. Yeah. And it's something that I never want to happen to myself or to someone else. It's like, gosh, we're in the information days, right? And the problem is there's too much information out. And so I want to be someone that can disseminate through and be a source and that has like safety and help these people actually apply it. And I mean, to be mentioned amongst John Meadows is very humbling. I think John has awesome information content, and I would always follow bodybuilders that were coming up that would explain how to do it so I could learn. Like Evan Sinapani was the first guy that I came across on YouTube talking about his food, why he was doing it, and made a logical approach. And I appreciated that. And I know guys keep it to themselves, but I think, you know, you still, even giving it out, like, it's only helping people.
Right.
And it's not like they're going to steal something from you, you know? And it's still like, or some guys might copy it, right, and sell it off. I mean,
Right.
you can try to emulate it, but it's never the same as if it's coming from that person. So I'm not worried about that either. But I just hope the information I put out helps people, helps their bodybuilding journey, help them do it safer, and be able to do it for a long period of time. Because we know if you want to get really good at bodybuilding, you need to stay in this game for years and not just the next 12 weeks.
True, man. You don't want to be burnt out at age 24 or something like I've seen. So, guys, you've been very generous with your time. I know you're both keeping very busy with training and coaching and doing all that. So can't wait to see you guys at the Chicago Pro in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
It still sounds weird to me. I'm sorry. This is the second year in a row. We got to go back to Chicago next year, guys. Please, come on, Tim. But it's not. I know it's not under his control. But it's. I commend all you guys, all you pros who've been competing through all this COVID nonsense with dates changing, cities changing. You know, I give it up to you guys, because prepping for one show that you know for sure is happening on this day in this place is hard enough. But prepping for multiple shows where things just get, I don't know how you do it, because it's dedication to at another level, man. So
you have to be okay, willing to just, like, this is your daily life and process that is unchanging, right? And where that lands, wherever it is, whatever date, you know, that's where you show up to. So that's at least the mindset mentality that we've had to have.
Well, it's almost over. I think it's almost over. Yeah,
8 days. COVID itself is, it's
I hope so.
improving.
All right. Well, guys, John and Renee Jewett, we'll see you in Atlanta, Georgia for the Chicago Pro. John will be going for the 212 title. Renee will be going for the wellness title. Wishing you both the very, very best of luck. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ronline Report, and we'll see you next time.